morning, everybody. Hey, it's Billy. This is the Dead Time Radio Show. I'm with my buddy Don. Hi, Don.
What's up?
This is season 4.
Number
season
1.
4. We are on our 4th season of this awesome show, and we want to thank everybody that's been listening, everybody that's been helping us out, supporting us, loving the show. We're glad to be back.
I so missed it.
Yeah.
I so missed you guys. I don't know. It seems like forever. I know we weren't gone that long, but it seems like forever.
It's only been a month. We said 2, but we decided, I don't want to wait 2 months. Let's do a month. So we got excited and wanted to come back and start playing with you guys again. And we got a good show this week. I think you're going to like it. I hope everybody liked our season finale from the last season. That was fun to do.
Yeah, we loved it. That took us a while to accumulate all of the EVPs.
But before we get started, there goes my main accent. Started.
Ooh.
I have to read an email, Dawn.
Okay.
We have an email from someone.
Email.
Let me load up our email here.
Email. We love email.
We got emails. We got emails. So this email comes from Cassie. And it says, "Hey guys, I stumbled upon your podcast looking for dark original versions of grim fairy tales and became an instant fan. You guys are hilarious and so much fun. I love your unapologetic, dark, funny, dirty podcast, and I'm excited to binge it all. Don't ever change, Cassie."
Thanks, Cassie.
Thank you, Cassie. You're awesome.
We are unapologetically, yes.
Fuck yeah, we are, because it's fun.
It's probably why we haven't been picked up by anyone yet.
Who cares?
Thank you guys for listening. We love you guys. There's been
It's
a
better
lot
if
of downloads, and we love it.
Yeah, and it's better if we do it on our own anyway. Screw them other people if they don't know a good thing when they hear it.
Yeah, so... Do you want to tell them about the Patreon?
Well, they already know about the Patreon.
No, we have our first Patreon.
Yeah, we had our first Patreon from Pam, one of our listeners. She's awesome. And we got a really nice gift for her for that, just because she's the first Patreon. Just so you guys know, we're working on getting our website set up with a market so that you can go on and order your own stuff. We've got T-shirts in the making. And we're also going to have other little trinkets like coffee cups and stuff. But we're still working on that stuff. If you want to send us an email, send it at thedeadtimeradio@gmail.com. Or if you want to place a comment on our website, which is thedeadtimeradioshow.com, please feel free to do so. And keep listening. So today, guess what our episode's about today, Don?
Past life regressions.
That's a pretty good guess, considering I told you what it was going to be
like
about.
3 folders up on the fucking computer there.
You're not supposed to do it like that. You're supposed to go, is it about your toenails?
Okay, there's no script, dude. Like, if you want me to start fucking reading shit, you need to make it a script. Because this is not a script. That's the whole point of the show.
Is it about your...
rectal bleeding?
That was private. And that was only because I put something in there.
I know.
I didn't do it on purpose. I fell on it.
Yeah, but we had to do a GI bleed protocol on you. Remember?
Those are always the stories. I fell on it. How do you fall? You don't accidentally put anything up your ass. That's just a personal observation.
Yeah.
All right. So past life regression. A lot of people don't know what that is, so I'm going to explain what it is. Past life regression is basically when someone goes under hypnosis and they start to describe what their past lives were. Now, I'm very skeptical about it because, for one, I don't really believe in hypnotism. I kind of think it's another one of those hokey things. I could be wrong, but I just don't believe it. But people talk about their past lives, and I'm kind of cynical about that, too, because it seems like every time somebody's in a past life regression, they talk about how they were some kind of prince or king or some kind of noble. You never hear about the guy that shoveled shit his whole life in that life and all that other stuff. So, I was a priestess. I was a shaman. Okay, whatever. Sure you were. I don't believe it. But there was a show Dawn and I watched on YouTube. It was like only 3 episodes. And these people actually weren't like princes and nobles. They actually had like normal, regular run-of-the-mill lives at the times that they were talking about. And it was very interesting. So I wanted to read some more stories today about some past life regressions. What do you think about it, Dawn?
Well, you know what I feel about it. I've had my past life regression. I've had that done before, and it was super interesting. And the thing when you do have it done, which I think I've talked Billy into getting it done and doing a show about it, you have these memories that you bring out after when you've had the past life regressions. It's like it explains a lot of things that you carry into this life, like obsessions that you have. Sometimes are from your past life stuff. So I totally believe in it, and I agree that everyone's not Cleopatra. So, or King Tut or whoever.
Right. More like King Butt.
King Butt. You're King Butt.
King Butt. All right, so here's some cool stories we found. Here's one on betteryoumag.com. 20 wildly vivid stories of past lives that'll make you believe in reincarnation. Now, reincarnation and resurrection are two different things. Reincarnation means that you have died and then you come back in a different body, and it doesn't always mean it's a human body.
Right.
Reincarnation is like a lot of the Eastern religions believed in that. And, of course, resurrection is when you come back in the same body. I don't know if I believe in resurrection very much. Zombies, yeah. You're dead, now you're alive. Enjoy your day. Have a nice day.
There's some pixie fairy dust.
That'll be $29.99, sir.
Bling.
So, let's see. Here's one. In 1957, John and Florence Pollock suffered the heartbreaking loss of their daughters, Joanna and Jacqueline, in a car accident. The next year, Florence gave birth to a set of twins, Jillian and Jennifer. She likes the J-sounding names.
Yes. Joanna, Jacqueline, Jillian, Jennifer. Yes.
Who shared remarkable similarities with their deceased sisters. Like Jacqueline, Jennifer had a birthmark on her wrist and another on her forehead, similar to Jacqueline's scar. Ooh, that's interesting.
That's cool.
Despite the fact that John and Florence left their old neighborhood when Jillian and Jennifer were 3 months old, the girls recognized nearby landmarks whenever they went to visit. They asked for toys their sisters used to have, and they were terrified of cars. In the face of oncoming traffic, Jillian and Jennifer would scream, "The car is coming to get us."
Ew.
Wow. I'm not reading that one. I don't give a fuck about her.
So I watched a show where there's a famous person, and I think I told you this. He says he remembers climbing up the chair and then climbing out the window and to get a box of raisins that was on the ground, and his mom says, "That's impossible. That's how your brother died."
Ooh, yeah, you did tell me about that one.
So, yeah. Wicked stuff like that. So he just came back into the same family.
That would never happen to you because you don't like raisins.
I would never climb out a window for raisins, so that would be a false statement.
What if the world ended tomorrow and that was the last meal you could have was a box of raisins? Would you starve to death?
I would eat my feet.
Ew. Ew. I think I'd eat the raisins before I'd eat your feet.
I would eat my feet.
Feet are gross.
I would eat my feet.
Ew. Ew.
You asked me a question.
That's gross.
Why? Okay, is this your show where you're answering your own questions?
It's our show. That was a horrible answer.
That is my answer.
Oh,
I'm not
horrible.
eating raisins. They are
gonna
bugs.
Eat my feet.
They're bugs. Not eating little
How are you
bugs.
supposed to walk if you eat your feet?
Why do you give those to kids?
What, your feet?
No, the raisins.
Oh.
The shriveled up little bug
Raisins
parts.
are good. Before he died in 1987, Tibetan Lama Daejung Rinpoche III told 2 of his students he would be reborn in the Seattle area. 4 years later, a boy named Sonam Wangdu, later known as Truku La, Tibetan for reincarnation, was born in Seattle to a Buddhist mother. His mother had graphic dreams before and during her pregnancy. In one, she and her son were flying in a special compartment of a plane. They landed at an auditorium where her son would give Buddhist teachings, and in came the Dalai Lama. In 1996, at age 4, Tulku La made national headlines as he prepared to leave his mother in Seattle and study in a monastery in Nepal with 38 other monks. He was renamed after his past self, Daejung Rinpoche IV, and has remained in Nepal ever since, studying and teaching the Dharma.
That is one of the main things about the Dalai Lama. When the Dalai Lama passes, that is their Dalai Lama's people have to find the Dalai Lama.
Yeah.
So, like at 5, they start testing all of these people that, you know,
That's a trippy.
that would only know what the Dalai Lama knows from his life.
That's trippy though. That like he knew.
Yeah.
Like he was so in tune with shit that he knew.
It's been
when
happening
he was,
for centuries. Every time the Dalai Lama dies, he comes back into another body.
But
so.
he's not the Dalai Lama. Is he? No, he's not the Dalai Lama. He
No.
was just a Tibetan Lama.
I'm saying that's the Dalai Lama. The Dalai Lama does that.
Wow.
Yeah, that's how you find them. That's their job. They're supposed to find the Dalai Lama.
That's trippy.
Yeah.
For the past 50 years, a team from the University of Virginia has collected stories from people who remember their past lives. One such story came from Ryan Hammond, an Oklahoma boy who began screaming and begging his mother to take him to the house he'd lived before. "Mommy, I'm so homesick," he said. Ryan described his previous home as a mansion in Hollywood with a huge pool and many cars. The next morning, his mother checked out a stack of library books about old Hollywood, including one with a scene from the 1932 film Night After Night. "Mama," Ryan said, pointing at an unnamed man in the scene, "that guy's me, the old me." His mother contacted Professor Jim Tucker, MD, the director of the UVA Past Lives Study, who identified the man in the book as actor Marty Martin. Dr. Tucker interviewed Ryan, his mother, and Marty's daughter, who confirmed over 50 details Ryan recalled about his past life, including the specific location and contents of Marty's home. Wow.
Did I tell you what? That when Finn was little, he was telling me that he had to kill his brother because his brother shot him in the back, and he had to run after him. And he had weird stories like that.
Wow.
Like he remembered.
That's weird.
Yeah.
In another Dr. Tucker case, a boy named Lee told his family his middle name was Ko and his birthday was June 26th, neither of which were true. He talked about a life in Hollywood where he wrote movies and had a daughter named Jennifer. He also said he died at age 48. As his perplexed family listed off movies he might have written, Lee brightened at Gone with the Wind. Sidney Ko Howard wrote the movie's screenplay. His daughter's name was Jennifer. He was born on June 26, 1891, and died on August 23, 1939, at age 48.
Cool.
Wow.
So that's what's happening with the past life regressions. They put these people under, and they are remembering incidences that they did in the past, like names, dates, locations, their mom, their dad, their brothers, stuff like that. And in the show, the guy verifies it.
Yeah, that's the cool part of it. And,
Yeah.
and these people are so accurate. And then he goes back and looks in the historical records and sees those people's names, their jobs, all that stuff.
Yeah.
That's why I turned Dawn onto it. I was like, this is really cool. We should talk about this. But what I find fascinating is the kids. These kids are not under hypnosis.
No,
they're just saying shit.
Yeah, because they haven't gotten to the point to where someone's telling them not to remember it anymore.
Right.
They're still new.
It's really cool.
And they remember stuff. Like he would hold like things like a Tommy gun and go da 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 da, and like he didn't know what a Tommy gun was. That's freaking 1950s or whatever. My son.
That was
Finley.
1930s.
Yeah, 30s.
20s, actually.
And then the 1930s music we were playing, and he and I were dancing. And he was dancing like you would dance back then, it was super cool. Yeah, I believe that they bring a little bit until it kind of fades after they're so old.
When Sam Taylor was 18 months old, he looked up at his father as he changed his diaper and said, "When I was your age, I used to change your diaper."
Dude.
What 18-month-old can talk as well as that?
Finn could.
That's a year and a half.
Yeah.
At a year and a half?
He could talk. Yeah.
That with that good of a
Clearly,
sentence?
yeah. Because we never did baby talk.
Several years later, Sam's father brought home an old photo album from his deceased parents' house. Upon seeing a photo of his late grandfather's first car, Sam pointed to it and said, "That's my car." As a test, Sam's mom brought him a photo of his grandfather as a young man surrounded by people his age. "There I am," Sam said, pointing to his grandfather. That's when he said, "Bad men turned his sister into a fish."
What?
Sam's grandfather's sister was killed and left in a body of water. A story Sam's parents never mentioned around the toddler.
Oh, no.
Wow.
That's crazy.
What
That's wicked.
turned his sister into a fish. She was slipping with the fishes.
Yeah.
At age 2, a Louisiana boy named James Leininger woke from a nightmare and screamed, "Airplane crash, plane on fire. Little man can't get out." He said he was named James in his past life, too, and that he once flew off a ship called the Natoma. He had an uncanny knowledge of World War II aircrafts. With little research, his parents discovered the USS Natoma Bay, a World War II aircraft carrier with a pilot named James Littleman Houston. Houston died in combat over the Pacific. Meanwhile, their son continued having nightmares and talking about his plane crashing. They contacted a past life therapist who told them to listen to James's fears and reassure him he was safe. The therapist's advice worked, and James' dreams subsided. In 2009, his parents wrote a book about his experience called Soul Survivor.
Weird.
Soul.
That's cool.
That's way cool. Now, I kind of get that way when I'm watching stuff like documentaries about Vietnam.
Yeah.
I feel like I've been there.
You probably have.
I feel like certain songs bring back memories that I shouldn't have. Now,
Right.
It's weird, though, because I grew up while Vietnam was still going on. So, and I was still a little kid while it was going on.
But you could have passed and came back quickly.
Yeah. It's just, it's
the
very
beginning
odd
of
because there's
Vietnam.
certain times, like, I'll watch stuff and get emotional.
Yeah.
Like, I can remember it.
Yeah.
It's very strange. I
No,
like that.
that's a lot of people have said that. Like they travel to like Ireland or Scotland, and they're like, "This is my home," and they can go to their house. They know all the landmarks, and they've never ever been there before.
Right. It's
How
kind
do
of
you know
trippy.
that?
Right.
And also, you bring some skills from your past lives to this life. Some of the stuff that you know, how do you know it?
True.
You
I must
know-
have been a ladies' man back in the day then, because I got some skills, ladies. Skills.
You got some skills, all right.
When Luke Ruhlman was 2, he started naming everything from his toys to bugs he saw Pam. He told his mother when he was a girl he had black hair and pointed out pairs of earrings he used to own. Finally, his mom asked him who Pam was. He was like, "Well, I used to be, but I died and went up to heaven and I saw God and God pushed me back down." His mother said, "When I
2-year-old
woke
would
up,
say that.
I was a baby and you named me Luke." When she asked her son how he died, he told her in a fire and made a motion as though he was jumping from a window.
Oh, dude.
He said it happened in Chicago, a city the Ohio family had never visited. Luke's mom searched online and found a woman named Pamela Robinson who jumped to her death during a fire at a Chicago hotel in 1993. The family later appeared on an episode of the TV show Ghost Inside My Child. That sounds like a porno.
No, it's a good show. You should watch it.
On the Lifetime Movie Network, where Luke correctly identified Pam amid a mix of random photos.
Cool.
Wow.
How you know who you are?
Yes. That's Trippus.
That's super cool.
Trippus majoris.
Wow.
Patrick Christensen was born with a slanted birthmark on the right side of his neck in the same location as the chemotherapy scar his brother Kevin acquired before he died of cancer 12 years prior. Much like his late brother, Patrick also walked with a limp and had a nodule above his right ear and clouding in his left eye. When he was 4 years old, Patrick asked his mom if she remembered him having surgery and pointed to the nodule above his ear, where Kevin was operated on. When his mom said no, Patrick clarified he didn't remember the procedure itself because he'd been asleep, much like Kevin was during the operation.
Dude, they say what the scars that you have in this life is how you died before. I have like a knife hilt scar in my abdomen to the left of my belly button.
I got a scar on my wrist where my brother cut me with a box cutter.
No birthmark.
Oh. Oh, I
You
thought
have
you
a
meant... You said scars that you have now.
I misspoke.
I guess.
Birthmark.
I would say so,
So
young
that
lady.
birthmark. Shut up, man. It's Monday. I actually fucking worked last night, so kiss my ass.
I was sick.
Somebody didn't work.
I was sick.
Somebody left me to fend for myself.
Arthur Flowerdew grew up with visions of a city he'd never seen in a desert with a temple carved into a cliff. While watching a BBC documentary as an adult, he recognized Petra, Jordan, as the city he'd always pictured. In 1979, Arthur joined archaeologists and a BBC film crew on a journey to Petra, where he pointed out landmarks he had never been to, including ones that had yet to be excavated. Passing by a guard station, Arthur stopped and said that was where he was stabbed by a spear and killed.
Dude,
you know that's got to be kind of legit if he's pointing out shit that they haven't even excavated yet.
yeah. Yep.
I mean,
I like Petra. I'd like to go look at it. It's just
It
carved
looks
inside
neat.
of the rock. Yeah.
it's like that's like an old D&D temple right there.
Is it? It's what it looks like. Cool.
Like an old temple carved into the mountainside. Wow. Ooh, I might have to make an adventure for you guys now.
Dun,
just
dun,
for
dun,
that.
dun, adventure, Petra.
We're going to the Temple of Petra. When Semi-Tutusmus's mother, say that fast,
No.
was pregnant with him, she had a dream with a bloody-faced man who told her his name was Selim Fesli. A man by that name had died of a gunshot to his face
To the
and right
face.
ear in a neighboring Turkish village 1 year before Semi was born. As soon as Semi could talk, he informed his mom that his real name was Selim Fesli. At age 4, Semi walked to the late Selim's house and told his widow, I am Selim, you are my wife Katibe. He listed the names of their children and details of their life together. Semi even recalled the name of Selim's killer. That's a lot of S's.
Ooh.
Okay?
Yeah, but can you imagine a little person, like a 4-year-old walking up to you going,
walking
look,
up.
I'm your husband and I had sex with you and
When
we
I
had
was
3
4, I was
kids.
saying that shit.
I'm sure you did.
Hey, baby.
I'm sure you did.
I was your husband in the past life. You want to get
You
it
say
on?
that now. That should be your new line.
It's inevitable that you and I get together. I was your husband in the past
We've
life.
already done it, so it's going to be nothing new.
I already know your body, baby.
Stupid.
I gotta say it like super creepy
No,
though.
it's 4. He's
You're
4
like,
years old.
I didn't know your
No,
body.
dude. I'm going to need to call the cops on this 4-year-old that's standing here being all creepy McCreeperson.
Right? Fucking creepy.
What's wrong with you,
I
kid?
think if that little kid came up to me and started talking shit like that, I would get a blowtorch and flame him right there. That would be the end of that child. And then I'd give the mom $20. I'm sorry about your kid. He's 4. I figured that's like what, like $5 a year. $20 ought to cover it. You're still young. You can have another one.
Oh, my God.
Just don't come over to my house again. Retired Assistant Fire Chief Jeffrey Keene of Westport, Connecticut, didn't know why he felt so emotional when he visited the site of the Civil War Battle of Antietam in Sharpsburg, Maryland. The words "not yet" reverberated in his head. When he flipped through a magazine about the Civil War, the same words jumped out at him on the page. The quote was attributed to Confederate General John B. Gordon, who repeated it while he held his troops back at the Battle of Antietam. In a study by Dr. Walter Semke, M.D., a reincarnation researcher and psychiatrist, Jeffrey discovered he also had birthmarks in the same places where General Gordon was injured in battle.
Birthmarks. There it is. That's wicked.
Wow. The same doctor who studied Jeffrey Keene began his career in reincarnation when he recognized a significant overlap between himself and John Adams, the second president of the United States. As a medical student at the University of Illinois in 1984, Dr. Semke visited a medium who told him that in a previous life he wrote something on parchment paper that was responsible for securing the ideals of humanity. The medium also encouraged him to study the life of John Adams because doing so would allow him to see himself. Dr. Semke ignored the medium's advice until 11 years later when he heard a booming voice emphasize his need to study John Adams. In independent research and visits to almost a dozen different mediums, Dr. Semke realized he and Adams bore physical resemblances and shared several personality traits, including a bluntness that can be abrasive at times.
Who's that sound like?
Me?
Yeah.
I was John Adams.
Thanks, Captain Obvious.
My name's John Adams. That's fucking cool, though. He was a president.
He was a second president.
The guy before him was a general. Duminda Bandara Ratnayake.
Nice.
Ratnayake, I think it is. Started talking about his past life as a monk and following the rituals and restrictions of monk life at age 3.
Ooh.
The boy said that he once was a senior monk at Asgiria Temple, an hour away from where he lived in Thundiniya, Sri Lanka. I'm sorry if I'm butchering these because these are fucking hard. He talked about owning a radio and said there was a pain in his chest when he died. Venerable Mahanayaka Gunapana, a late monk from the Asgiria Temple, fit Duminda's description almost perfectly. Instead of having a radio, though, he had a gramophone, which the modern boy might not have known the word for. Duminda also remembered during Mahanayaka's red car, which few monks in the region had. Driving, sorry, not during. I don't know. That one, I don't know. Because he said radio.
Yeah.
And then they changed it to gramophone and tried to say, well, it's because he was 3. He didn't know. I'm a little skeptical on that one.
Gramophone
I don't
has
like
a
that when
huge
people like
funnel
say
on it.
something that's completely off and
Put
they're
it
like,
together.
oh, he was only 2 letters away.
Yeah,
okay, well, that could be any 2 fucking letters.
Yeah.
So let's not play fucking word games.
Yeah.
I don't like that. It is or it isn't.
That's like the prophets we did on
Yeah.
that, like one of our seasons
Right.
where you can make things fit
right.
to your, bend things to your will,
Right.
basically.
Square peg, round hole kind of bullshit.
Just keep hitting it. It'll go.
That's what I told her last night. Nazi Aldan. You set me up on that one.
No, I didn't. I never do.
Nazi Aldanov shocked his parents when he told them of his many weapons. Oof. When he was 18 months old. He regaled them with tales of a mute, one-handed friend in the red car he owned. He said he
What?
died because people shot him.
Because he was mutant
His
one-handed?
his friend was mute and one-handed.
First of all, how did he lose his other hand?
Dude, that sounds like a fucking cool TV show.
That sounds like a
A
joke.
dude with a mute one-handed friend,
Mute
and they
one-handed
drive
friend
around in a
walk
red
in-
car solving crimes.
Walk into a bar.
What would we call it? Dipshit and the mutie?
Oh, my God.
Erlander Haraldsson, PhD professor emeritus of psychology at the University of Iceland in Reykjavik, traveled to Nazi's home in Lebanon to investigate. Nazi led Professor Haraldsson to a home in a town 10.5 miles away where a man named Fuad Assad Kadagi once lived. There, Nazi spoke to Fuad's widow. She confirmed that details Nazi shared with his family matched Fuad's life. Among a series of test questions the widow asked, all of which he answered correctly, Nazi identified the family member who built the fence around her house.
Ooh. How do you know that?
I'm
That's not
noticing
something
a
you
lot
can
of
look
these.
up or...
Yeah, a lot of these past life stuff is taking place in like India and
India,
Lebanon and
right.
the Middle East, where that Eastern religion kicks in. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
After a school field trip
If
to
you believe in it, your mind is more open to it.
Yeah.
So therefore you allow it to come through and you're listening to your kids instead of being like, shut up, Timmy.
Right.
What the fuck you're talking about?
Go play with your goddamn dolls and
Stop
shut your
being
fucking
weird.
pie hole.
Stop being weird, Timmy.
I'm trying to watch South Park.
I'm watching my shows.
After a school field trip to a temple 145 miles away from her hometown in Sri Lanka, Purnima Akanayaki became convinced she once lived and worked as a male incense maker in Kelaniya, the town across from the temple. She said her male self died in a car accident. Purnima's father and his brother-in-law went to the town where they learned about a man named Jindasa, an incense maker who died after a bus struck him on his bicycle.
Ooh.
Purnima joined her family in Kelaniya, where she identified Jindasa's wife and daughter and knew the name of the school he attended. The strange tale of birthmarks on the left side of Purnima's chest and ribs matched the placements of the bruises and fractures found on Jindasa's body in his autopsy. Once again, it's proving your point about birthmarks.
See, I didn't even read this stuff.
I know, this is cool. On a visit to the British Museum in her native London, Dorothy Eady became so transfixed, I remember this one, by the Egyptian galleries, she kissed the statue's feet and cried to her mother, "Leave me here, these are my people."
Aww.
Now, I remember telling you a story about this, about Dorothy Eady. This chick was amazing. This is the one, I'm going to read the rest of the story, but this is the one I was telling you about, that she became an archaeologist because of this. Went back to Egypt and found shit that wasn't even excavated.
Right,
like
you did tell me
pinpointed
that.
shit.
Yeah, because you would know where your house was.
Right.
You would know where your garage and where
Right.
you kept all your stuff.
So
you went to town and,
Yeah.
here's the baker, here's the butcher, here's the newspaper guy.
Her story is very fascinating.
Cool.
Because it's like really cool to see this kind of stuff. And I mean, she was dead on. She went and pointed out to the archaeologists all the places they need to dig in this temple where she was at.
Cool.
So, let me finish this. From
Yes.
then on, Dorothy had recurred dreams of Egyptian scenery. When she saw a photo of the temple of Seti the First at Abydos, she told her father, "This is my home." This is where I used to live. As an adult, Dorothy married an Egyptian man and moved to Cairo. The couple had a baby named Seti after the 19th dynasty pharaoh. Dorothy was known as Seti, or Mother of Seti. Before their marriage ended, Dorothy's husband saw her wake in a trance-like state and write pages of hieroglyphics in the middle of the night. According to Dorothy's automatic writing, she was the reincarnation of a priestess named Bentreshit, who killed herself after she became pregnant with Pharaoh Seti's child. She said Pharaoh Seti visited her in her dreams. In 1956, Dorothy became the first woman to join the Antiquities Department in Abydos, one of Egypt's oldest cities. She used her past life memories to find the Temple of Seti I garden, which archaeologists had yet to excavate, as well as a hidden tunnel at the north end of the temple.
Super cool.
Yeah.
That's super cool.
That's a really kick-ass story, man.
But why would you kill yourself because you were pregnant?
Because it was just a priestess who
She's
was pregnant with the pharaoh's
Pharaoh.
child. That's a bad thing.
Okay.
Think about, like...
Yeah, but it's his fault. It's not her fault.
It doesn't matter back in those days.
So she has to kill herself?
It was either that or the wife would kill her.
I would fight to the death.
Trial by
I'm
combat.
not taking my own life. Yes.
Well...
I have another human being in my stomach.
You were-
I'm fighting to the
You
death.
were born in a different time.
No
Back
shit.
in
I'm
those
just
days-
saying, as that priestess, that's what I would
Back in
fucking do.
those days, women just made the
Okay,
sandwiches.
what am I in D&D?
Women just made the sandwiches. That's what they did back in those days.
They didn't feel like they needed to make the sandwiches. They felt they were growing children. They were growing human beings. I'm growing an ear today, bitches. What are y'all doing?
Back in the kitchen and make me a papa.
Yeah. You keep watching your South Park.
Matin Aung Mayo was a Burmese girl convinced she was once a Japanese soldier who fought and died in World War II. She told Ian Stevenson, a psychiatrist from UVA, that the man she used to be was from northern Japan and had 5 children. She was terrified of airplanes. In her past life, machine gun fire from an aircraft killed her. As a soldier, she ran for cover from the plane but was struck by a bullet in the groin. He shot me in the dick! Where she had a small birthmark. Matin
Birthmark on your dick.
said the plane that killed her had 2 tails, which fit the look of the Lockheed P-38 Lightning, the Allied planes used in the Burma campaign. This was the most significant indication her past life memories were real. She also preferred sweet curries and raw fish over traditional spicy Burmese foods and complained of the hot Burmese climate. Wow.
I like Vietnamese food. Does that mean I was Vietnamese?
Maybe. You might have been. Shanti Devi's parents dismissed their 4-year-old's claims about having a husband and children until they became extremely specific. Shanti talked about the food she ate with her husband, the clothes she wore, and described his appearance. He was light-skinned with a mole on his left cheek and reading glasses. He owned a cloth shop in front of the Dwarkadish temple in Mathura, 113 miles from Shanti's home. By age 6, Shanti detailed to her parents how she died in childbirth. A few years later, she told a relative her husband's name, Pandit Kedarnath Chaubey. The cousin wrote a letter to Kedarnath listing Shanti's claims, all of which matched his description, and he agreed to meet. Kedarnath came to Shanti's home in Delhi, where she accurately described the place in his house where he hid money and the location of a well she once bathed in.
Wow.
She cried when he saw Kedarnath's son. In 1937, Mahatma Gandhi appointed a committee of 15 people to study Shanti's case and go with her to Mathura. When she visited Kedarnath for the first time, she directed the driver with ease and navigated through his house as though she'd been there her whole life.
Can you imagine that? You die in childbirth and you've never seen your child? That would be pretty emotional if that was if that's you.
Yeah.
I can't imagine that.
Wow.
Yeah, that's too much.
Those were pretty cool stories.
Those are cool, man. Like, how are you going to explain that?
I don't know.
You, the skeptic.
Yeah. Some of those I can't, and that's why it's fascinating. But if you notice, these people aren't under hypnosis.
No,
You know what I'm
these
saying?
are kids.
These are kids. And that's what makes it kind of interesting.
They've brought it over, right. But the past life regressions are adults.
Right. It's usually the adults that are like saying stuff like, I was a space invader.
That's not what she said.
I was the queen of Venus.
There was one lady that was compelled to donate her eggs.
If a lady said that she was the queen of Venus, I'd be like, all right, I'm going to build you a rocket ship and you show me how to get to Venus. And that'd be the end of it.
Go to Uranus.
Well, she could go to Uranus too if she wanted to.
Rocket ship to Uranus.
Yeah, that lady that gave up her eggs.
Yeah.
And it was because she was
did
barren
it 3 times. Okay,
in
y'all
her past life.
If you know how it is to donate your eggs, you have to go through all of these hormone shots because you basically have to prepare your body for like pregnancy.
I don't know why you would do that when you just go to a fucking grocery store and buy a dozen of them.
No, like for people that can't have children. I'm trying to explain this the way this is me. We haven't done this in a while. You're looking at me like you don't know me.
No.
So they're taking her eggs, not chicken's eggs that shoot out of chicken ass. This is out of ovaries, and we're only born with so many eggs. Females are only born with so many eggs in their ovaries. So, yeah, it's a very painful procedure. She went through it 3 times. She couldn't understand why she was so compelled to donate her eggs. So it was a pretty interesting story.
I was just saying. Just
know,
go buy a dozen of them. Donate them.
You think you're going to pop those in your vagina and
it's
just
about
going to...
$3.50.
You just shoot some sperm in there and it's going to grow in person?
Dude, that's how Chicken Lady was born.
Anatomy. The spoon chicken lady?
Chicken Lady.
Who's Chicken Lady?
You never watched Kids in the Hall?
I remember I'm squishing your head.
Right.
Well, I don't remember Chicken Head.
You don't remember Chicken Lady?
No.
Oh, my God. It was awesome.
I just remember I squish your head.
So, I'm crushing your head.
I still do that to my husband when he's standing in the kitchen.
Here's some more. You want to hear some more stories of alleged past life experiences? This one's from bustle.com. Past life real. These 7 stories of alleged past life experiences from history are chilling. Number 1, the Bridie Murphy case. Between November of 1952 and August of 1953, Maury Bernstein, at the time an amateur hypnotist, who would later become known as a successful businessman, used hypnotic regression 6 different times on a Colorado woman named Virginia Burns Ty. And what emerged through these sessions became a straight-up fad after the publication of Bernstein's book, The Search for Bridie Murphy. Ty, who was referred to by the pseudonym Ruth Simmons in the book, had, it seemed, allegedly lived a past life as a woman named Bridie Murphy in 19th century Ireland. When Ty was under hypnosis, she spoke with a thick Irish accent, despite the fact that Ty did not have such an accent, and indeed had never been to Ireland. The tales she told detailed Bridie's life from the age of 8, when Bridie lived in Cork, up through the fall that she later suffered that resulted in her death as an adult. When The Search for Bridie Murphy was published in 1956, it kicked up quite the pop culture fervor for reincarnation. Come-as-you-were parties were de rigueur. Bars served reincarnation cocktails, and folks just otherwise couldn't get enough of the whole thing. However, the Bridie Murphy case did eventually collapse under scrutiny. Journalists failed to be able to verify key elements of Bridie's life. For example, there's no record of anyone resembling Bridie being born on December 20th, 1798, which Ty, under hypnosis, had said was Bridie's birthday, or dying in 1864. And eventually, it came out that Ty had grown up across the street in Wisconsin from a neighbor who was an immigrant from Ireland named Bridie Murphy Corkle. We don't think Ty made up the story on purpose, as Live Science notes. It's generally believed that Ty may have unconsciously built Bridie Murphy out of her childhood memories of Bridie Murphy Corkle. Yeah, see.
Yeah, I mean, that they're discrediting her. But the stories the guy is researching, like he can go back and find out,
right?
Like, baptismal records of the people.
Wasn't that one dude that one girl spoke Arabic?
The one was doing a prayer in Arabic,
right?
And then the other one spoke French.
Yeah, the other dude spoke
and he
fluent
said,
French,
"I don't know any
and he doesn't know
French."
any French at all.
No, when they brought him out the next, in 2 weeks after he's done all of his research, he started speaking to the guy in French again, and the guy didn't know any. He's like, "I don't know what you're saying."
Yeah, that was kind of cool.
That was cool.
Those are really good shows. It was called Who Was I?
Yeah, and I said, "Grammar Police guy." I can't believe you're watching that, and you got past the title.
Well, yeah, but it was fascinating. I kind of glossed over the name of it. It's kind of dumb, but who was I? If you guys want to watch it, just pop that up on YouTube. It's really cool. There's only 3 episodes, and I'm curious to see what channel it would be on if it was an actual show, because it seems like it's the same channel that Celebrity Ghost Stories
Like
is on.
Discovery Channel or
Yeah.
something like that. Yeah.
So here's one called the Bloxham Tapes. British hypnotherapist Arnell Bloxham was born in 1881. In the 1950s, possibly inspired by the Bridie Murphy case, he began researching past life regression. Over the course of about 20 years, he recorded a whopping 400 hypnotic regression therapies on tape.
Ooh.
And in the 1970s, these tapes were transcribed and published in the Sunday Times as a series. BBC producer Jeffrey Iverson headed the charge on the published series. In 1976, he both produced a documentary for the BBC about the Bloxham tapes and published a book about them, More Lives Than One, Evidence of the Remarkable Bloxham Tapes.
I wonder if we can get those
I'm sure we probably
and then do
could.
research.
Of particular note was the case of a 30-year-old Welsh housewife referred to by the pseudonym Jane Evans. According to Evans's regression tapes, she had allegedly lived not one, but but 6 different past lives. That of Livonia, a tutor of the sons of the Roman governor Constantius in York in the 3rd century A.D. That of Rebecca, who was married to a Jewish moneylender in New York in 1189. That of Alison, an Egyptian woman who in 1450 was a servant in the household of a French merchant. That of Anna, who in the 16th century was a lady-in-waiting to Catherine of Aragon. That of Anne Tasker, a seamstress in London in 1702, and that of Sister Grace, who was a Catholic nun in Iowa at the beginning of the 20th century. According to the Skeptic's Dictionary, though, Jane Evans's alleged past lives have been found not in the historical record, but in the fictional one. Livonia, for example, seems to be based on The Living Wood, a novel by Louis de Wohl published in 1947. Alison's life also seemed to come from a novel, The Money Man, by Tom Costain. While Rebecca may have emerged from a radio play, it's believed that Evans' past lives may actually be the result of cryptomnesia and confabulation.
So they're trying to discredit her because they can't find any evidence of...
Well, I don't know if it's being discredited. I mean, they can't find any historical evidence. That guy went back on that show, to like the fucking 14th and 15th century and found shit.
He was pulling
and
stuff.
these people aren't finding it. That doesn't
mean it didn't actually happen.
Yeah, but
my past life regression, I've lived
I
I've
understand
identified
that,
3 lives.
But as a skeptic, I would go with them
you.
just because of the fact they couldn't find anything other than stuff that was written in fictional novels. And some people do that. You know what I mean? They subconsciously build lives from what they've read.
Right, I hear you.
Like, I'm a 30th level wizard in my world, in my past life.
In your Belandia?
Yes, in Belandia. I was the king, and I was a 30th level wizard.
You didn't have the biggest schlog of
I did,
everywhere.
of course I did. There was none bigger. The reincarnation of Om Seti. Now, this is Dorothy Eady again. So we already read that one. The past life of Laurie Raynaud. In European cases of the reincarnation type, Ian Stevenson, one of the foremost researchers into reincarnation and past lives, details the case of Laurie Raynaud, who was born in Almont, France in 1868. She rejected the Catholic teachings she was raised with, insisting that hell, heaven, and purgatory didn't exist. Rather, she believed in the idea that each time people die, they return to Earth in different bodies.
Correct.
Raynaud moved to Paris at the age of 17, studied medicine, and became a healer. She married in 1904. During this time, she also learned what was called magnetism, a type of hypnosis. And it was while working with Gaston Derville, who ran a clinic in Paris, that she finally began speaking of what she believed were memories of a past life. She remembered living somewhere with lots of sun in a very large 2-story house with lots of arched windows. There was a park nearby with lots of old trees in it. Additionally, a number of small houses belonging to workers were located near the house. She believed the memories were from what her past personage was about 25 years old, and from roughly 100 years ago. She said she had a chest disease. She was plagued with coughing. She had the consumption.
I was going to say, that sounds like, consumption.
Later on in life, Raynaud went to Genoa, Italy, and felt an immediate familiarity with the place, even though she had never been there before. She tracked down a house in the countryside that locals said matched the one she described from her memories. And it was here that she came to believe that in a past life she had been Giovanna Spontini, who had lived in the house Raynaud had located and died in 1809 of chronic illness and catching a severe chill.
So tuberculosis.
Yeah. Stevenson notes that the fact that Raynaud couldn't specify any names of people in her memories until after she had done some research weakens the possibility of her actually having experienced a past life. The same went for the fact that although she accurately described many details of the house, those details were very common in Italian Renaissance mansions. The chronic illness, however, he considered intriguing.
So that's the only thing that they figured was right.
I do like how they're doing this at the end of these stories.
Like debunking it?
Trying to debunk a little bit.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of where I stand. And that's why I was fascinated with that show on YouTube, because of the fact that he went back and verified everything that they had said.
So he may have only published the ones that he could verify.
Yeah,
so that's
you're
what I'm
probably
saying.
right.
Like, these people, they could only say that she died of catching a chronic illness and a severe chill.
And that's the way it should be, in my opinion.
That's probably why he's only published 3 of them. That he could find out had all those records.
Yeah, I think it should be that way. You should be that precise about it, that you can find precise details that were given during that hypnotic session, because it tends to be more credible when you can back it up like that. But, you know, I could sit there and say that I lived in fucking Pakistan when I was, 1,000 years ago, before it was even Pakistan, and name something. But if there's no record of it, if there's no details of it anywhere, it's harder to verify. And
right.
I could be making anything up. I don't know.
One of my lives, I was a scribe, and the way I died was I ate food that had spoiled or was poisoned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just kind of weird.
How are you gonna prove that? How are you gonna?
Yeah, I mean,
that's why I want us to have past life regressions and have it be on video and on radio to see what we say.
Yeah,
like if you all of a sudden start speaking in a Jamaican accent or whatever, like you don't, you know what I'm saying?
My Jamaican name was Dexter St. Jock.
See, it's going to be an interesting show.
Don't let them fool ya, or even try to school ya. Oh no, I can already speak it. Ugh.
So you're going to be reincarnated as
Bob Marley.
Bob Marley.
Yeah.
Marley.
Or Peter Tosh.
Nice.
I'm just saying.
Because you have to be famous.
Right.
Because you're Billy.
Well, no. No. It's because I've been famous my whole time in all my lives. I can't help it.
So what happened now?
That's why I'm not famous now. This is my last life.
You're done. You've had enough.
I've had enough fame.
You're done with your famousness.
I've had too much fame.
You and your famousness need to get another life.
I've been spoiled by fame, and now I must suffer.
No, you want the fame, and we just can't get it. It's unreachable.
Here's the story of Jay, a medicine woman. Marlene, a professional woman in her 40s, decided to do past life regression with me for several reasons. She felt like her current life was a constant struggle, even though she admitted that her day-to-day life wasn't stressful at all. She wanted to heal her relationship with certain members of her family, but never was able to open up and trust them. Marlene also had a tight restriction in her throat, and no matter what she tried, she couldn't get any release. At the start of her regression, she found herself in the forest, barefoot, wearing a long green skirt and a heavy loose skirt. Long green shirt and a heavy loose skirt. She had a dark complexion with chiseled high cheekbones, dark black hair, and dark eyes. She noticed that his skin on her hands was wrinkled and looked old. Her name was Jay.
Man, you are off your game because you totally didn't make a comment about that.
No, it was in my brain.
I looked at you and you just kept on going.
What, about couldn't get in release?
The throat thing.
Oh, yeah.
Restriction in her throat
So
and no release.
I was with her in that past life. That's why she couldn't breathe.
Okay, so they have a recording. I just want to let you know that lifebetweenlives.ca, past life regression stories. If you want, I guess it's 4 minutes of her past life regression session.
That's interesting.
We're not going to play that here, but I think you should listen to it. It sounds pretty cool. So I think what we're doing is just going to kind of tell you the synopsis of it. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, so just so you know where you can look it up at. But
it became clear that Jay was in the forest to pick up some plants which she gathered into a basket. It felt like spring. She was picking some prickly leaves for a specific remedy to help a man. Making remedies... She was picking up prickly leaves to help a man. Making remedies and medicinal teas for
track.
other people. This is what she does, helping people to get better. The knowledge about the plants and how to use them to cure different conditions Jay received from her grandfather. She had been treating the whole community, the young and the old, for many years. Her life ended suddenly and tragically. Like many other healers and medicine women, she was accused of witchcraft and was prosecuted. I've been punished for treating people. They are cutting my fingers one by one and my throat.
Dude.
The people circled around, some of them from the community, some are strangers. Marlene continued as she observed the final scene of her life from Jay from above. They are celebrating. They don't have to be scared of me anymore. Some people look different. They are white. I am Cree. Looking at the scene, Jay saw her body was laying on the ground, the knees tucked under as if she was kneeling. Her fingers were cut. Her throat was slit. I helped many of these people. They don't see it. They don't get it. They're scared. I feel sad for them. I am okay. It's okay.
Ugh.
In the final part of the session, when we examine hidden motives, connections, dynamics, and benefits of those discoveries to bring back into a current life, it turned out that Jay was reported by a woman she recently helped. Jay thought they were friends. It wasn't spoken, but Jay felt there was a deep-seated connection between them. A woman was among the people who watched the execution, and she didn't look sad.
Dude.
Marlene discovered that her lesson in a life of Jay was to help people regardless of the consequences. In a woman who accused Jay, Marlene recognized a member of her current life family. No wonder Marlene felt a strong energy of betrayal in her life.
Yeah.
Marlene also discovered why that woman turned her in. She learned that in a life of Jay, that woman was jealous of her. Jay was too free, too independent. She was sought after and she was helping people. Her life had meaning and purpose. After Marlene made peace with the people in life of the medicine woman, we healed Marlene's throat and hands. After the session, her throat felt better. She also had some unexpected discoveries. Yeah, I released. I'll let Marlene share her surprises with you. Listen to what Marlene said after her session. So, yeah, if you want to listen to that one, that's kind of cool. Jeff was a pirate.
That's horrible. That okay, so that proves the point that we were talking about not too long ago, that when you meet someone, how you have, like, you just don't like them. There's no reason. They've given you no reason to not like them. You have a deep-seated hate, or, what if they had to have scorned you in the past life?
But I pretty much hate everybody.
You do not.
I do.
You don't.
Well, not everybody. There's certain people I don't hate. But yeah, I there was a girl that I met in the Air Force, that I swore when I first saw her, I knew her. I knew her from somewhere. I couldn't figure out how I knew her, and she's still somebody I talk to this day, and I actually love talking to her. She's like one of my best friends, and it was just kind of weird because we talked about that, and it still to this day kind of trips me out how it's like I had never met this woman before in my life, but I knew her. Like, I knew her in my soul, in like details of her.
You were probably married or brother, sister, or somebody that was that close there.
Yeah, it was really, really cool.
I've met people like that.
Yeah,
the opposite, where it's really good and positive, and yeah.
And we were together. Like, we had dated each other. She ended up getting reassigned to another base, and then I got out of the service, and we kind of lost contact after a while. But I finally got a hold of her like 27 years later, and she came out to visit me, and it was just like we just picked right back up. She's still one of my best friends in the whole world. I love her to death.
So that's your soul friend.
You know who I'm talking about, Phyllis? I know you're
friend.
listening to this show. Yeah, she's like my soul friend.
Those you should cherish, because those people you think about how far of a distance people have to come, that, because when you're reincarnated, you don't know where you're going to be. You're in a different country or state or whatever. It's pretty amazing how all the strings cross over and you just meet people.
Yep.
So,
well, those are some cool ass stories, man.
I like it.
I like it too. I want to thank you guys for listening. We're back. We're having fun. We're getting back in the groove. If you want to send us an email, send it to thedeadtimeradio@gmail.com. Go to our website, thedeadtimeradioshow.com. Become a patron. Have fun with us. We're back. We love you. We'll see you soon.
Love you. Bye.